Imagine your organization uses a GitHub Action repository and you try to access it and get an access denied message. Frustration turns to concern as you realize that something isn't right. Could your organization be a victim of a supply chain attack? In recent months, we have seen an alarming rise in these types of attacks, particularly targeting the GitHub ecosystem. In this video, we aim to dissect these supply chain attacks that leverage GitHub Actions, understand who is behind them, and most importantly, learn how to protect ourselves and our organizations against them. Now let's get into the details of the attack. Supply chain attacks target the software development lifecycle by compromising the tools and dependencies that developers rely on. In many cases, these attacks start with malicious actors creating or hijacking popular GitHub Actions, automated workflows that help developers streamline processes. In the case of the ReviewDog action, which is widely used for integrating code reviews with automated feedback, attackers exploited this tool as a vector. They injected malicious code into the action, which, once executed in a CI/CD pipeline, could compromise the integrity of the entire deployment process. The malicious payload might include backdoors, data exfiltration scripts, or other harmful code that could lead to severe breaches. Who is behind these attacks? The attackers behind these supply chain attacks can vary in their affiliations, from independent hackers motivated by financial gain to more systematic and organized cybercrime groups. They typically target high-profile repositories and extensively use tools that are seen as gateways to a broader network of potential victims. The attackers rely heavily on social engineering tactics, leveraging trust in established repositories and developer tools to mask their malicious intentions. Some of the known tactics include dependency confusion. Attackers create packages of the same name as legitimate dependencies, but store them in malicious repositories. When developers pull dependencies, they may inadvertently pull the malicious version if security practices are not in place. Malicious GitHub Actions. As seen with the ReviewDog example, adding a seemingly useful action to a workflow can introduce vulnerabilities. Attackers can disguise the malicious components within seemingly benign workflows. Version hijacking. By taking control of abandoned or less maintained packages, attackers can push updates that contain malicious code, catching developers off guard. Phishing and social engineering. Crafting messages that convince developers to use compromised packages or actions baked into official-looking documentation. How organizations and individuals can protect themselves. Use trusted actions. Always rely on GitHub Actions that are maintained and vetted. Utilize actions from verified users and official sources. Audit dependencies regularly. Conduct routine audits of your project's dependencies and GitHub Actions to ensure they are up to date and do not contain vulnerabilities. Employ security policies. Implement branch protections, enforce code reviews, and restrict who can approve and merge changes to critical branches. Utilize dependency scans. Leverage dependency checking tools that scan for known vulnerabilities and unsafe code patterns in your repositories. Limit permissions. Define permissions carefully in your GitHub Actions to run with the least privilege necessary to reduce the impact if a compromised action is executed. The remediation process. If your organization falls victim to a supply chain attack, prompt action is vital. Here's a step-by-step remediation process. Contain the incident. Immediately revoke access to any affected systems and repositories. Identify the entry point of the attack to prevent further spread. Assess the damage. Evaluate the extent of the compromise. Identify which actions or dependencies were affected and what data may have been exposed. Eliminate malicious code. Remove any infected dependencies or actions from your repositories and workflows. Patch vulnerabilities. Update all relevant packages and actions to the latest trustworthy versions and fix any security gaps that enabled the attack. Investigate and analyze. Conduct a post-event analysis to understand how the breach occurred. Document findings to improve future defenses against similar attacks. Improve future defenses. Based on the analysis, modify existing workflows, tighten security policies, and enhance employee awareness and training to create a more resilient software development process. To conclude, supply chain attacks targeting GitHub Actions represent a serious and growing threat in the software development landscape. By understanding the tactics used by attackers, implementing proactive security measures, and having a remediation plan in place, we can safeguard our projects and organizations from these malicious behaviors. Remember, vigilance in security practices is our best defense against evolving threats. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.